the first thing we're going to talk about is selling your space. You really need to consider all the different spaces that you've got within your students' union. We can have requirements for lots of different room sizes. And you see on the diagram on the slide there that I've actually put some of the most common ones. So you'll see theatre, which is basically a top table at the top and then lots of chairs behind it. Class style is where you have tables with chairs behind. Boardroom style, and cabaret is also one that where we've got round tables. That's normally used in a plenary session, but depending on the space, that's what you can have a look at. And also, it really depends on how many tables and chairs that you've got within your areas. Just have a couple of minutes just to think about what staff you think you'll need to run a successful event. And if you want to kind of put your thoughts into the chat area, that'll just give me an idea of what you're thinking, and then obviously we can talk about it in a few minutes. Just some more. Great. Is actually being able to ask them to get you a drink when you're feeling a bit thirsty. So they're happy to share with us if you want to put them into the chat area, and then we get those up. Putting stuff in the chat area, you will actually need, there's a little box above it, and you will actually need to just click on everyone rather than obviously just myself, so just so that everybody can see the question. Yes, that's, anybody got anything? Added that they've got a small room, which is great because actually a lot of people just want a small boardroom space. The cafe capacity, again, great, 80 seated, that's really good, and a lot of companies have now started doing events at weekends, mainly due to cost but also staff availability. So okay, on. So the type of staff that you'll need to support you is actually set up on the day of the event, depending on how many rooms you've got. If they are already set up theatre style, then that's great. I think you just need to be really clear with people when they're asking about room sizes, etc. It's worth actually trying it out before you think about what you can offer, just to make sure, because the typical questions that you'll get asked is how many can it seat theatre style, how many can it seat classroom style, etc. Admin before, during and after the event, you need to have a room booking system so that you can actually book your rooms out, and help during the day. It can just be directing people, etc. And then afterwards as well, just making sure, you know, just doing some post-event evaluation, just checking with the, sorry, I've just got an update on my screen, I'll get rid of that. Just checking with the company with everything, did everything go okay? Catering, yeah, again, we have, you can offer lots of different catering. So you can go for the standard tea, coffee in the morning, tea, coffee in the afternoon with a basic sandwich lunch, or you could do a hot and cold buffet. And those are the things you need to think about when you put your day delegate rates together. You get finance involved. Obviously, they're going to be helping with the billing, etc. And accommodation. So some of the events, certainly that NUS do, can be 2-day residential or 3-day residential events. So you'll need to work quite closely with your accommodation teams just to make sure that, you know, that they can be quite clear on what they can offer, especially during term times when accommodation, you know, isn't really available. Okay, the main thing that we are looking at is when you're looking at selling your space is just having one main contact. That's quite helpful, especially going through the planning process. Ideally, event managers or companies will come and have a look at your space and see what's available. We've already talked about the diary for each room, because obviously some of your rooms may get booked up by some of the students or some of your activities, etc. Be really clear on your timing. So arrival time. So, you know, what time is it okay for a manager to arrive? What time is, you know, do you need the event to finish by? And also weekend availability. Can you provide weekend availability? Be really clear about what's included. So if you can offer 2 or 3 rooms, is AV provided in all of those rooms? Is water provided? Do we have to pay anything extra, etc.? And make sure that you put a contract together with clear terms and conditions. Now, if that's something that you haven't done before, then we can obviously help you with that, and we can also send you something that, you know, that we've used, so that you can make sure that you've got everything included. Okay. But I just thought we'd just check if there was any questions in the meantime. So just hang on. Okay, Dr. 3-course meals. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. That's as long as you make that clear to whoever's actually going to be looking at booking your space. And the 3-course meal and the silver service is normally done for things like awards, etc. But if you've got really during the day, if you're happy for, you know, clients to actually bring in external caterers if they did want a 3-course meal or silver service, then obviously you need to make sure that that's clear. Just until, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Put them into your chat. Okay. Is how you're going to market your space. It's really good if you can put some kind of brochure together. And ideally for event managers like myself, it really helps if we can have a kind of images of the pictures. Again, with the different room layouts, just so that we can have an idea of what the rooms look like. Include your contact details. Obviously, we need to know who we're going to get in touch with. If it's one contact, then that's great. But actually, if we have to deal with a catering contact as well, then obviously try to include all those details too. Sign-ups are brilliant. It just something we can then send out to delegates, and just shows them exactly where they need to go to when they arrive at the venue. And consider having open days as well. So actually invite local companies to come and have a look at your space and just put some refreshments on, just so that they've got an idea. Costs of using hotels at the minute is rising. And so it's really good if external companies actually have an idea of other space that's available around them. So do consider having an open day, just if you can get different companies to come in and have a look at the space. In terms of things you need to think about, access. All rooms must be accessible. If they're not, then obviously do make sure that you tell the event manager any restrictions that there are. Signage, it's great. You can't have enough signage in a venue. And if you can have signage in all areas that are going to be used by external companies or by, NUS, then that's really, really helpful. We do bring our own signage sometimes just because it's easy for branding as well. But if you've got lots and lots of signage, it does help when it just stops people getting lost. Toys, I know it probably sounds really bizarre, but just make sure they're clean and of a reasonable standard, that they've got towels in, or if the hand dryers, check the hand dryers are working. How often are they cleaned, especially if you've got people that are there for the day, just ensuring that they are kept clean and tidy throughout the day, especially if you've got external companies using your spaces. Of what you offer in, there are two different packages that we currently look for when we're looking at using a venue. So the first thing is a day delegate rate. Now, the day delegate rate should normally include the main room hire, refreshments on arrival mid-morning and mid-afternoon, screen, flip charts and pens that are going to be in the main room, the help of all the conference staff and Wi-Fi. To this, like pens and paper, etc. Obviously, that would increase your day delegate rate, and a lot of times, especially if it's an NUS event, the students or the delegates actually bring the paper and their pens with them. So I wouldn't necessarily consider that. You could do a tiered day delegate rate. So, for example, do you offer buffets, etc., at lunchtime? So actually, you consider doing a day delegate rate with just maybe a sandwich lunch, and then a day delegate rate with a hot and cold buffet, so that people can see the difference. And then obviously, it's up to them. They can decide which one they'd like to go for. Is the 24-hour delegate rate. You can see it includes the main room hire again, refreshments on a roll, and that can be tea and coffee or tea, coffee and biscuits, again, depending on people's budget. Lunch, time on the 24-hour delegate rate, it actually includes dinner as well. And again, you just need to be clear about what type of dinner you can provide, whether it's just a buffet style, cold buffet style, or whether it's a hot and cold buffet. Or, can your venue actually do the dinner with the self-serve, projector, screen, flip charts and pens, the conference staff, the Wi-Fi, and also one night's accommodation with breakfast. Again, that's normally done in conjunction with the university accommodation. Okay, next section done. Has anybody got any questions? Again, if you want to pop them to the chat, that would be great. Oh, and rate. Shall I ask a question? You can just do a room hire only rate. Normally, companies would like the tea and the coffee, etc. But yes, you can just do the room hire only rate if that works for you. Obviously, they're thinking of using this as an income stream. Then if you can add the tea and the coffee and the lunch, etc., and also consider doing a half-day delegate rate. Some companies might just want to use your room for half a day. So it's worth actually just considering maybe being flexible and being able to do a half-day delegate rate, which just includes tea and coffee on arrival and the room, etc. And some people will either stay or will leave before lunch. So if you can be flexible with those kind of things, then it really does help an event manager when they're trying to look at space that they can use. Questions? Just question. Rate with room hire, or do separate it out? If you're going to just do the room hire, then obviously just you can provide the cost for the room hire itself. When you're looking at a day delegate rate, what you need to think about is actually the cost of everything. Now, a standard day can be around £25 to £30 per day. So that needs to include everything that was actually on that day delegate list. So what you need to work out with your catering department is how much it would cost to do a tea and coffee per person. That will help you looking at doing a half-day delegate rate as well. So just sit with your catering department and work out what they can provide for how much, and then that's how you can set your day delegate rate. If you want any more help after that, or if you're not sure, just drop me an email. My contact details are at the end, and then we can help you out with that. Gia, we do our little room free at the moment. We charge for the buffet, but it only seats 4 to 6 people. Yeah, well, I think we'll remember that one if you're offering it for free. I think just to see if you can get some income, because if external companies are thinking of what to do externally, and they went to a hotel, they would be charged for a room at a hotel. So you obviously want to price accordingly. Actually, I would still try and see, trial it and see what happens if you do actually put a cost in on your room hire. If people start using it, then reconsider. But actually, I think what you just need to do is just have a think about how that can increase a little bit of income for you. Do you set a limit on the lowest amount of delegates to ensure it's profitable? So basically what happens is that if we're putting an event on, for example, we would have an idea of how many delegates were going to come to the event. So normally, say for example, we've got 25 people. You usually get me to sign that contract on 25. If it then goes lower, then we still agree, because we signed a contract on 20, the number being 25, then we'd actually pay for those 25 delegates to attend. It's worth us thinking about the minimum numbers we're going to have. And the other thing we just need to make sure about as well is increasing numbers. So an event that we thought we were going to have 25 for, we've signed the contract on 25, but actually we've got 40 people coming, then actually that's where we're actually booking events as event managers, because it means that we increase, but actually when we're decreasing, we know that our minimum number to set our budget has been at 25. I don't think we can charge as it's free to us from the uni. I'd have to check. 5%. Yeah, just check the uni and just see if what they say. I think if companies, external companies, are happy to pay, then I would see if certainly you can do it as an income. Rebecca has a half day and full day room hire fee and a catering menu. I think what you remind is that you need to be a bit flexible. So say, for example, you say that your day delegate rate is £25, you can then add on. So if people come to you and say, well, I've got a little bit more budget, then you can say, well, actually, for X amount, we can do pastries with the tea and coffee breaks, or at lunch we can add fruit, etc. So that's actually where you can kind of be a bit more flexible in terms of what you can actually offer out to people. If you know, the certain time of year, so for example, January is quite a quiet time in the event world. So if people are coming to you and saying they want to do an event in January, they're probably not going to expect to pay the same amount that they would for an event that was, say, happening a bit later on in the year. Can we add an additional fee onto their prices so it makes it more profitable? Yes, definitely. You obviously want to make some kind of margin on it. So, and obviously, in terms of the room hire, that's going to be income that you're not having to pay out for. But yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't make the day delegate rate too expensive, so people can't afford it, then yeah, I would try it. It might be interesting just to see if you can put something together. I'm quite happy to have a look at it for you just to see whether or not it works. Talk additional requirements. Now, this really depends on the type of space that you've got. So if we're, Julia, for example, you wouldn't need to think about a PA system in a small room. But actually, if you were thinking of using the restaurant area, then you might need to be able to provide a PA with some mics just so everybody in the room can hear. You may not be able to do that internally, so if you have got companies that you can recommend to event managers that can help bring that equipment in, then that's really, really helpful to us. Julie, a karaoke machine, that's great. We're always looking for different things that we can do in the evening, so having a PA system that actually also works as a karaoke machine is really good. Refreshments, I talked about it early on, so you can coffee, but again, you can also offer tea, coffee and biscuits, or tea and coffee and croissants and things like that. So actually try and sell that additional refreshments just to see if you can bring some additional income in. Rooms, equipment in. If not, again, if you can't provide it, it's really useful for you to provide a company's details that actually can provide it. Flip charts, we expect those in all rooms. So if you haven't got them in, then please do get them in because they are quite standard now in any breakout rooms that are offered, certainly by hotels, etc. In terms of catering, think about your dietary requirements. When we're doing an NUS event, we'll send through our dietary requirements to the venue quite early on. And those can be things that range from vegetarian, halal, kosher, or they can be quite diet specific. So you need to really be able to talk to your catering team just to make sure that they can offer that kind of standard. Try and get the event manager to confirm their catering numbers as soon as possible, just so that obviously your catering department aren't actually ordering in additional food if they don't need it. And finally, Elhan Catering, Julie rates the store and serve range for those who don't have a full kitchen. You just need a freezer and preparation area. Other participants who actually haven't got that area, who haven't got the who have a catering system. When we are, so when this is kind of our wish list. Things that kind of when we go around a venue, we try and see if you can accommodate for us. So this one is gender neutral toilets. Now I know that these are appearing in as student unions more and more as upgrades have been done, etc. If you've got specific gender neutral toilets, don't worry. What we can do is use accessible toilets, or if you've got multiple sets of toilets, then we'll just designate one of them to become gender neutral toilets. Natural daylight. We love rooms that have got natural daylight, so do our delegates. It helps and not try and fall asleep in the afternoon when it's a little bit dark, as does air conditioning. Air conditioning, especially during the summer, certainly this year, is a real help. And ideally, public transport. If you can let your event managers know exactly all the details of public transport that are going. So, for example, if the train station's quite far away, what bus are there buses that delegates can get from the train station, etc. Then that's just something that we can actually include into our training instructions to our delegates. So it's great to have a think about that. And we've got a great view across the water, although it's a lot better than our Macclesfield view, I can assure you. Okay. So again, we talked about using all spaces. What I didn't talk about in that bit, actually, just referring back to it, is thinking about your bar areas as well. Now, there are some events where we can't use a bar area, but for general meetings, etc., or some smaller meetings, we can. So actually think about your bar area. If it's not being used during the day, that is additional space that you can use. We've talked about who you need to obviously involve when you're offering the service of holding events at your venues. What you need to think about, the packages that you can you can put together, any additional requirements, and then obviously we've just talked about the events team of on events for NUS events, what we kind of look at our wish list really in order to be able to use venues. It's not been as long as I thought, but just wanted to say thanks very much for attending today. Are there any further questions that you've got while I'm here? Slides. Yes, of course. If you email me, I'll just stick my email address into here. Put our events inbox email address. If you just email me, then we can send those over to you. And also there is going to be, this actually has been recorded, I believe. So if you've got other members of staff who you think might find this useful, then obviously we can send this over to them. So I'll put this in. Okay. Think about questions that you've got afterwards, then obviously just drop the events inbox with it. And if I'm not around, there's a team of 3 people, 3 other event managers that work on the team. We've got Suzanne, Katie, and Sam. I'm laughing because Sam sat opposite me. She came in halfway through and I've forgotten her name. So if I'm not around, then they can help with the questions, etc. Thank you. Hopefully everybody will have picked that up. Thank you.